Yes, indeed. A very pleasant good morning and welcome. Welcome to Herbie's Cooking Corner for October 11th, 2022. And today we are going to do a very interesting recipe called Regency Ginger Crisps. And why are they called Regency Ginger Crisps? Well, I'm going to turn things over to our co-facilitator, Twinkling Tori, who will tell us. Tori?
Hello, everybody. Well, in the book by Joanna Fluke that they come from, they are made for the Regency Romance Book Club, and that's why they're called Regency Ginger Crisps.
Very good, very good. All right, so this recipe is pretty simple to make. However, the tricky part is that, well, you have to make the dough first and let it sit for a little bit before we can actually bake it. And because of this, we decided to, first of all, make this call an hour and a half just to actually make sure we got through everything. Though, believe it or not, we were actually on time yesterday, so we'll talk about that why in a little bit. First of all, I want to welcome those of you in Clubhouse as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you all enjoy the show. And with that, well, I tell you what, first thing I'm going to do is just give you a quick reading of the list. Now, one thing I do want to announce, and I don't think this got included in the email, but I actually now have a Dropbox folder containing many of the recipes that I have done for the cooking call. And when I upload future calls to YouTube, I'll make sure that that link gets included there. And you can also ask me privately to either have the link or be invited to it. It's strictly docs and text files, so it should not affect your Dropbox storage. It will be read-only, so you won't be able to accidentally delete anything out of there or anything like that, but you can copy and paste or whatever to your heart's content. So what we need for this is 3/4 cup butter, melted, a brown cup of sugar, or rather a cup of brown sugar, a brown cup of sugar. I don't know if it matters what color the cup is.
You could have a purple cup of sugar if you want.
Yeah, you could. But it does have to be brown sugar, and it does have to be packed. We do need a large or 2 medium beaten eggs, 4 tablespoons molasses, and that I am given to understand turns out to be 1/4 cup. So that's what we used for that. 2 teaspoons baking soda, a half teaspoon salt, 2 teaspoons ground ginger, 2 1/4 cups flour not sifted, and we'll need a small cup of white sugar a little bit later on, but that is not actually used in the recipe. So with that, why don't we actually go into the kitchen now? And before we get started with that, Tori, did you have any comments you would like to make?
I will point out that, as I do say in what we're going to show you, there are substitutes if you cannot get hold of molasses. There are options, and also you can obviously replace your butter and eggs with alternatives if you do not eat those for any reason, including allergy-based reasons.
All right. I will create pauses for questions in this thing, though it was kind of recorded all as one, so we'll just see how this thing goes. And so with that, let's get off my lazy butt and go into the kitchen. Oh, I just have to press a button. So the first thing we're going to need is 1 1/2 sticks melted butter. And I'm going to get out a stick of butter and another partially used stick that's mostly more than a half. And I've got a bowl here. You can of course use a pan to melt the butter if you want, but this is one of those few things that even I will stoop to using the microwave for because it's quicker and it's the same anyway. At least I think it is. I don't know. I do worry about what radioactive chemicals I might be exposing myself to, but then again, it's too late for that.
Disregarding butter would be minimal.
I think so too. So the next thing I'm going to do is just cut off some of this stick that I don't need, and we'll call this other part half. Sticks of butter are very easy to work with for baking when you don't need them softened. And I just used a butter knife, and now we're going to put this in the microwave.
1 minute express cook.
Let it cook for about a minute. It might need more time. It might need less time. This is butter that's just been out of the fridge, so we will see. And it's very interesting. The last time I did a recipe for you all, I was right here once again melting the butter first thing. So I don't think that's a fluke though, because we're doing recipes from Joanne Fluke. So obviously she...
It is a fluke,
have a
just not
preference
just a different kind of fluke.
Exactly. So obviously she has a preference for melted butter recipes. I probably could use the mixing bowl for this and see if it would fit in the microwave. It would save a step. On the other hand, well, it might work. I'd have to deal with a hot mixing bowl though, and that could be problematic. But this butter is melted nicely. You wouldn't? Okay. Well, if Tori wouldn't, that's good enough for me. So I'm going to pour that bowl into the mixing bowl. There's no errors here because, well, the mixing bowl is much bigger than the butter melting bowl. So it was just very easy to center the smaller bowl into that. Next, we're going to need a cup of brown sugar, and it actually tells us to pack it down. I know that this question has come up before, but this recipe is very specific about what we are to do. So I'm going to, for once, do as I'm told. And
Really?
who knew, right? I know.
Mark it on the calendar, people.
Exactly. The one way you can get me to do as I'm told is when following a recipe. But that's fine because we're going to, obviously it's going to use a lot of brown sugar since we are packing it. So I've got my brown sugar stored in a Ziploc bag here within a bag just because I could not get the other bag. The way I opened it last time did not properly seal. I'm going to do this over the mixing bowl, so I'm taking the bag out the Ziploc and we're just going to pour into the bowl. The brown sugar package, of course, is very different than your white sugar package. It's plastic, whereas your white sugar is paper. Okay, I want to make sure that we get all this in here. I'm packing it. This is weird because I don't even pack a suitcase. Well, actually, I do pack a suitcase, but I feel like Kevin from Home Alone. I don't know if any of you have seen that or not, and I guess it's now an old movie, which is really depressing because we got it for Christmas when 8's birthday, and I remember it like it was yesterday. So
It's a great movie, though.
if you want me, it is. And I don't know which one I like better though, it or Home Alone 2. Home Alone 2 in some respects is a better movie, but I have no great memory. You think
First
so?
one's better. Yeah.
All right.
Definitely first one. I mean, the second one is good, and, you know, everything, but no, first one's better.
We will have time later on to hear your opinions about which Home Alone movie is better. Just as long as you say it's Home Alone 2, then you're... No, just kidding. I will say for the record, I have not watched... Oh, they do? No, they have to say it's 2. Okay, for the record, I've not watched any of the following ones after 2, but...
You're not missing much.
That's what I hear. That's why I've never bothered watching them.
Yeah. I've seen 3 and 4, and yeah, they're okay, I guess. But no, just stick with 1 and 2, you're fine.
Good idea. Well, folks, you know you've tuned into Herbie's Cooking Corner when you come onto the call late, and instead of actually hearing about food, you're hearing about Home Alone movies. But you know what? If you happen to be in a situation...
holidays.
We are! And I was just going to say, though, maybe we could have a caller that's in a situation like Kevin, where they suddenly got left alone in their own home. Well, if Kevin had today's technology, he could have come on these cooking calls and learned how to cook more than just microwavable dinners of macaroni and cheese. So let's see if I have to do anything with all this before I actually add in the rest of the stuff. Alright, so the first thing I've got to do is melt the butter and mix in the sugar and let it cool to room temperature. Let us
Which with how long we were talking is probably already done.
Yeah, but we may as well stir it anyway. So, yeah, the butter is definitely kind of cooled down. I can just tell with how it feels with a spoon. But we are letting it stir. And since this is a cooking corner, Writing Works Wonders likes to interview authors. We should interview Joanne Fluke on Herbie's Cooking Corner and say, we've done a couple of your recipes.
Good try.
Yeah. I need to get an agent or something. Okay, so I can just tell by touching it with the spoon that it's stirred. Doesn't seem like there's any clumps. Actually, I take that back. I think there's one. So
you're going to be mixing it into other stuff after, so as long as there's not big lumps, you should be fine.
No, there are no big lumps. Alright, so now that we've done that, let's take a look at the rest of our stuff. What we need now is the large beaten egg, and that we're going to do in a separate bowl, I think, so that way we can make sure it's beaten when it goes into the mixture. But this is where a good idea with recipes to sometimes look at all the instructions before we do anything else. So we do need to mix in everything. I'm going to save the egg for last just because I can deal with all the dry ingredients first and then come back to the egg. And before we go on with all that, I will pause here and see if we have any questions so far.
I don't see anything so far.
All right, and how about
I got nothing on Clubhouse.
Excellent. Very good. Then we will continue rolling right along. And it's one less bowl to worry about, and then everything else later. So what we need now is 4 tablespoons molasses, which is a 1/4 cup. For this, I did get a jar of molasses. And where did you go? That is not my jar of molasses. This is my jar of molasses. Actually, I wonder if that one... Oh, I should have looked. Maybe I do have 2 molasses jars. Oh, well. So, we need a 1/4 cup of molasses. So, you are no doubt wondering, well, Herb, how do you know it's a jar of molasses? This jar, it does have kind of a distinct feel to it. It is tall and thin, and it has little indentations at the bottom. I can also scan it, of course, with my barcode scanner, and if I am completely unsure, but opening it and smelling it will be sufficient enough for me. Now, these measuring cups got stuff on them. Lovely. Okay, can I find my other set for the 1/4 cup real quick? Otherwise, we'll just have to wash the dishes.
And there is an option if you can't get hold of molasses. You can always substitute with either golden syrup, treacle, or maple syrup or honey.
Very good. I should have saved myself an expense and just use the maple syrup that I have too much of right now. But that's okay. We're going to get this
molasses is the best option. If you can get hold of it, molasses is the best option, but it's hard to get over here. So in order of preference, it would be molasses, treacle, golden syrup, maple syrup, or honey.
All right, that's one thing I've never looked at. Can we get a hold of treacle over here? But
well, we have trouble getting hold of molasses, and you have trouble getting hold of treacle. So since I had a load of golden syrup at home, it's not very different to treacle. I knew I wouldn't be able to get molasses, and I don't use treacle very often. I just opted for the golden syrup for mine.
All right. So this molasses is kind of like a very thick, gooey substance. We're going to pour it out of the jar and into the bowl. This stuff wants to stick to the cup, so I'm just kind of beating the side of the bowl here with the cup. And because I can't be sure if it's all come out and I want to make sure it gets the full 4th cup, I'm just going to add in a little bit extra. And with how much this stuff sticks, very good. Okay, do I need to store this stuff in the fridge once I'm done? I would think so.
I don't think so, actually.
Okay.
I know that treacle
I wanna
and gum syrup you don't.
Right. Then we will assume for now I don't have to. I know I definitely got in trouble last time on the call for storing my baking soda in the fridge, but we will make sure this jar has its excess molasses wiped off. And I'm just running it under the sink. Alright, I'm going to put the jar where I can easily find it, and I need to see if I have more molasses than I know what to do with. Which, if that's the case, then I guess I need to make some more ginger cookies outside of this call.
I'm pretty sure that you won't have any complaints from Chanel on that one.
I'm sure I will not. So now we need 2 teaspoons baking soda, ½ teaspoon salt, and ground ginger. Let's start with the, you know what, we'll start with the ground ginger just because I can. It's right here. I am not even going to be precise with the measurement because...
I wasn't
you know
either.
what?
I mean, you can't have too much ginger in ginger cookies.
Exactly. So the ginger is kind of like a very powdery substance, and here we're just pouring some out of the bottle, and you know, these are meant to be ginger cookies, so guess what? You're getting ginger cookies, and one less measuring thing I have to get out, and there's only a little bit left in this bottle anyway. There we go. I thought I had a brand new bottle of ground ginger as well, but there was. So that takes care of that. I've seen ginger come in several different types of containers. You can't easily tell sometimes by the bottle, so you may want to scan it. Sense of smell can be a tricky because there are several spices that do smell similar to ginger. Next, we're going to do salt and then baking soda. So I'm just going to find my salt. There we go. This common table salt. Salt comes in various forms. You can have it in like the box for measuring. I have a little salt shaker thing that I'm just going to pour out of and add in a tiny bit of salt that way. You don't want too much. You want just enough because the idea is for the dough to really firm up. Then next we're going to deal with the baking soda. I never did leave it out the fridge, but that's okay.
It's your baking soda.
It is. And I think we need 2 teaspoons baking soda. So let us see about the teaspoon. I'm a little teaspoon, short and stout. And here we go. I've got my teaspoon. It has it. Oh. Funny how I get that stuff mixed up. Okay, so the baking soda. Yep, there is. Either way, what we are going to do now is get the baking soda out of the fridge, which I've done. The teaspoon, I know it's a 1 and it's a teaspoon just by the size of it. It's smaller than a tablespoon and bigger than some of the other measuring spoons. That, if you have braille labels on them, will have 1/4. But normal, if you have a standard for measuring spoon set, it's going to go tablespoon, teaspoon, ½ teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon. So that's how you can always tell the difference if you don't have any labeling or anything like that, is put them stacked and they will go in that order: tablespoon, teaspoon, ½ teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon. The baking soda comes in a rectangular box. I can fit my teaspoon in there very easily and scoop it out, and we will have 2 of that stuff. Then the last thing we need to worry about is our beaten egg. And to do that, we definitely do want the fridge. And I'm going to get out a carton of eggs.
Have you done your flour?
And set them somewhere. I think we add in the flour last. So let's see. If I look at the instructions
It's okay,
here,
it's just you said the last thing, so that's why I was...
Oh,
just
sorry. So the last thing for now.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, it says add in the flour in 1 cup increments. So what we're going to do, mix in the egg, salt, molasses, ginger, all the stuff we've been adding in, and until it's incorporated. So we're going to get us a bowl. I know I have a bowl for this purpose. Alright, we'll use this bowl instead. Not my favorite, but for what we need it for, that will be fine. Now, I'm currently out of forks at the moment, so we'll just use a wire whisk. And I'm going to move this out the way so I have a little bit more room to work with. Okay, so I just need the 1 egg. I'm going to... Now, how can you tell if it's a large egg or a medium egg? You really can't, so I tell you what, we'll just play it safe and do 2 of these eggs and call it good. They're supposed to be large eggs, but these kind of feel...
They're supposed to be large eggs, and 1's probably enough.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess this, yeah, it's kind of hard to tell with these, so...
It's hard to tell with eggs, but if the carton says they're large eggs, then just go with 1 of them.
All right. So I'm just going to whisk. This is very easy to do. You can also just use a fork. You don't have to use a wire whisk if you don't want to. And we're just mixing it together. If you're dealing with 2 eggs, then you'll have a little bit of extra whisking to do. Because this is what's really interesting is we're not putting them in water here. And how do you whisk? Well, just kind of use a circular motion with your wire whisk or fork and just kind of go round and round. You don't want to spin so much as an actual circular motion. Then we can put the wire whisk in the sink, pour this in the bowl, and get all that out the way. And then we're going to stir all this before adding in the flour. And then what we're going to do after this is we're going to add in our flour, and we're going to let the dough chill for at least an hour. And, well, we thought originally about, can we do this on the call? Well, actually I didn't. But the answer
No, what
is
you actually
no.
thought
Maybe
is if we try to
do
do that on the... What you actually thought is if I try to do that on the call, I'll have to get up really early so that I'm ready to do it early and cut into ACB Presents, and we don't want to do that.
No, we do not. Could be a very big problem since Tori has to actually kind of be there. So, we will let the dough sit for 24 hours in our case, and we will actually be baking it live. So that is the plan there. Alright, so it says to add the cup flour into 1 thing measurements. First of all, it would help to put the eggs away so we can take out the flour and have room for it, and we want the eggs back in the fridge anyway. And let's see, I need to look into how much flour we need to add in. really phone. Are you going to be that way? Okay.
Yes, it is.
It is, but that's okay. There we go. So we need 2¼ cups flour. So I've going to get out my flour container. And before I get out my flour container, why don't we see if we have any questions?
We actually do. We have Dexter first.
Dexter.
Hello, Dexter.
Oh, well, it's not a question. You were asking about whether or not molasses needs put into the fridge after it's opened. The answer is no.
Okay, so I was right.
I use a large bottle because I like making soft molasses cookies, and basically the bottle lasts about a year typically, and yeah, there's no problems. You don't have to refrigerate it. By the way, though, just as a comedy note for you, you know what the speed of molasses in January is?
Go on and tell us.
Approximately 25 miles per hour. And that comes from the molasses flood of Boston in the, I think it was in the 1913, something like that. It was in the early 1900s. There was a large storage tank of 2 million gallons up on a hill, and it exploded and sent a wall 15 feet high of molasses down through the streets of Boston.
And everyone was in a sticky situation.
Definitely.
Oh boy, Tori, that is just...
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
You just didn't try, that's all. Poor Boston, though, they get their tea parties, they get their molasses floods. I mean, I guess if you mix the tea and molasses...
You'll have very sweet tea. I think it would be even too sweet for me.
Wow. Okay. I knew that was possible, though. So, did I say that? Oh, dear.
Anyway, thank you, Dexter.
Yes,
and
indeed.
I thought that was the case, but thank you for confirming it.
Yeah, thanks for helping Tori's ego there. No, because now she'll use it against me. I know. Anyway.
Now, next time you're walking past this room, can you throw a pillow at him for me, please? Thank you.
All right, who's next?
You do have another hand raised, and it happens to be Miss Angela Vader.
All right, wait a minute.
Hello,
wait a minute. She just got out joked by somebody else here. I don't know how she's going to react to that.
I did. So I have a question. I'm going to be using fresh ginger. Now, is the measurement going to be different for fresh ginger or the same?
Once you've chopped up the fresh ginger and everything, you want to end up with the equivalent of the ground ginger. But because of the fact that it's to taste, really,
right.
I mean, even though they specify the amount, really you can do it to taste. So if you want it very gingery, then you'd use more than if you don't. So
okay.
Really, you can use as much ginger or as little as you want. It's just that for them to be the ginger cookies, there has to be some in there.
Okay, totally understand. Also, I have a little hack, a kitchen hack. If you are measuring out anything like molasses or syrup or anything thick that will stick to the sides of your cup, if you'll just take like your Pam spray or avocado spray, whatever type of spray you have, and lightly spray it, it'll come right out of your cup for you.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome. And thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right. I don't know what I think about the idea of avocado spray for baking purposes, but...
Just use Pam. You usually do poor Pam.
Poor Pam. I'll have to pour
Being
her.
used all the time.
Yes. Well, but I also like my coffee too. So, wait a minute, are we talking about the same thing here now? All right.
Moving on. Do we have any other hands?
Yes,
Tom?
let's. I was going to ask.
Yes,
that.
we do.
All right.
We have Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. All right.
After
Hello.
Elizabeth, then we'll check on Clubhouse.
Hey there. Could you tell us where the recipe came from so we can get a copy, or how to subscribe so we can get a copy? Because I came in late and I don't know the instructions. I see the ingredients.
The recipe came from Joanna Fluke, which you can actually get a copy on Bookshare and a few other places of her recipe book.
What is it?
It's from her Hannah Swenson mystery series.
And the book is called Hannah Swenson something or other?
I don't remember the exact name of the recipe book and do not have it in front of me.
How do you spell Fluke, please?
Like I said, I don't have it in front of me. But if you search for chocolate chip cookie murder, that is the name of the first mystery in the series. Okay. So if you search for that, then you can find her name. Right. And then from that, you can find her recipe book.
That's perfect. Oh, good.
And I also did create a Dropbox folder, and I'll send you the link for it, Liz, because I do have your email. But I basically now created a folder that contains a lot of the recipes that I've used, strictly in text form. This is just the text recipes.
Got it.
And I'm going to really go back through and add in more of those. They will not include some things, so like, for instance, I did a call on steak and potatoes. There's no recipe for that, so you won't find that.
I got it. I got that.
In there, but I know you do, but I'm just clarifying everybody.
I understand. Thank you. That's really good. I would have been here earlier, but I've got people helping me do stuff.
That's okay. You're here now.
You're doing a great job.
This isn't class. We do not
I know.
judge.
We did not take attendance, so you're fine.
But these are lovely. Tori, have you made these?
I'm in the process of doing so.
But this is the first time we've all made them.
And just so everybody knows, I mean, it's not that I don't care about whether people are here or not. I do, but I have my alerts completely disabled, so I am not keeping track of when you come, when you go, because
that's my job.
Yeah, that's Tori's job. I find it just too distracting. So
I got it. No,
yes, but I'm too nosy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'll let Tori do that, and she'll tell me. She can tell me afterwards, but during the call, at least, I don't know. So
I'm muting.
All right. Let's go over to Clubhouse. Do we have anybody?
I've lost Clubhouse. I'm trying to get it back.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hang on.
All right. Well, there is a song written for the situation that's called "Oh Where Has My Clubhouse Gone? Oh where can it be?"
Shall we, while we're waiting for Brad to get Clubhouse back, see if Tom has any more hands?
Well, shall we? You really would rather? Okay, I get. We should. All right. Anyway, Tom, do we have anybody?
No, we don't seem to have anybody over here.
All right. Well, either they've all ran away, or we've done a good job of explaining ourselves. So we've got one.
Hopefully, it's the second one.
Yes. So. What we'll do then, Brad, did you get Clubhouse back, or are you still working on it?
I'm working on it. It just disappeared. I was sitting here listening, and then you started to ask for there were any hands.
That's been happening lately. I was made to feel,
gone.
And that's really
I was made to be feeling really, really better, actually, because I am so relieved this is happening to other people, because I was starting to think I broke something.
And what's really interesting is that Brad is using Club Deck, not even the Clubhouse app. So it's
exactly. So it definitely wasn't my fault. So there.
No, it was not. I knew it wasn't your fault, there, Tori. And Brad, you don't need to feel bad afterward. Also, so there. Hope everybody feels good now. You guys.
Yeah, it was somebody else that my comment was aimed at. But anyway, let's
so we're going to hear about the flower, and then guys, we've got a treat for you, because Chanel actually asked me about doing the dough making part, so we're going to be hearing from her in a little bit too. But let's go back to yesterday. I already have the container with flour in it, but if you do not, then yours will come in the flimsy paper bag. That's why I put it in a container. Okay, do I have my two
Yeah, once you
cup
see that paper bag, you'll see
measuring
exactly
cup?
why he puts it in a container.
Yep. Actually, for this, my 2-cup measuring cup is going to work against me. I'm going to use my 1-cup measuring cup. Yeah. You know, you have to wonder with things like flour, if they put blind people in charge of the packaging, you know, would this world be different?
More of the stuff will be labeled anyway.
That is true, yes. If nothing else.
Yeah.
Flour and sugar can be a little bit tricky to tell apart, but sugar is going to have a different feel to it within the package than the flour will. It's going to be more granular, whereas flour is more softer. And we're going to now scoop from the container our first cup of flour. It does not say whether it should be packed or not, but we're going to pour that in, and I'm having to pound the cup to get it out, and then it says to stir, so I'm going to let this cup rest in the flour container and do the first part of the stirring, so that way it's out the way.
And anyway, there's another reason for us not doing this live. You'd have to miss all of the coffee catch.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
We
want
cannot do that. But I tell you, you know, the thing I really love about this being pre-recorded, they can't ask us questions right now unless we actually stop at some point and let them do that. But I mean, can you imagine what is it like to cook uninterrupted? And no, I'm just kidding. We love you guys. Why are we laughing? No. All right. Okay,
Moving on.
A little bit more flour. Moving on. Moving on. Flour cup number 2. And I guess what we're going to expect is this dough to get harder and stiffer and all that good stuff as we go along.
Once you get it mixed well, it'll kind of be a bit stiffer, but still kind of slightly softish dough at this point.
Yep. The fun part is going to be tomorrow when we actually put this together. Okay. And I see what they mean by making sure you don't have flour on the sides of the bowl. Alright. Last is a 4th cup of flour, which I'm going to wash out that 4th cup that I just used earlier. We're going to make sure it's dry. And
otherwise the flour's just going to stick to it.
Exactly. So unfortunately, sometimes it can come in handy if you have 2 sets of measuring cups, because you can either reuse them or have 2 and then, you know, not have to worry about washing and drying. It's a matter of what works best for you.
That's one way where the way we do it, where we do measurements, kind of helps. Where we weigh stuff instead of doing cups and stuff, because you don't need the measuring cups. You just put whatever you're putting the stuff into onto the scales. So.
Well, you can also.
Yeah, I could see where that would definitely be a major advantage.
What you could also
I weighed out my different stuff before we got started, so I was able to just add stuff as I was going with everything measured out in bowls and stuff. Which, yes, it does make the extra bowls to wash, but you've got the cups to wash anyway, so
What you can also do
it evens out.
too.
All right. It does.
What you can also do too is take and get
But I get
your.
to wait
Right, so
until
now-
I'm done to wash my dishes. We will take questions in a minute. Could you please mute and wait and raise your hand? Thank you.
All right. So now we have us a stiff dough here. So what we're going to do now is put her in the fridge. This one is going to chill overnight. If you're making this, you only have to let it chill for 1 hour, but it says, actually does say in the recipe 24 hours for best results. So
Yep, it says at
that
least
is
1
something-
hour.
All right, so I'm getting all the excess off the spoon into the bowl. Now, it really didn't say covered or not covered, did it?
I didn't cover mine.
Oh, good.
didn't
so I'm not
say-
gonna cover mine either.
It didn't say either way, but normally when I put dough or pastry or something in the fridge to for a bit, I tend to not bother covering it. So
Yep. Okay, so I'm just gonna use my fingers to kind of make sure it's all nice and flat. Now we're gonna go to our fridge and find room for it to sit, and this can of course always be the tricky part of any recipe making, is clearing out your fridge. But if you
a
are
little
good
tip
at
for that: do
rearranging,
it before you start cooking.
yeah, it's always a good idea. I've heard of that idea before, where you do things ahead of time and all of that. Okay. So now that we've done that, I've got my stuff sitting where I need it. I'm going to, whoa. Okay. Got that rearranged, and very good. Now it's sitting in the fridge. I'm going to close the door, and we will let it sit for 24 hours, and I'm going to put the flour away.
Questions, comments, complaints? Well, actually, preferably just questions and comments. But
I think I'm on mute now. Pat does have his hand raised.
okay, go ahead, Pat.
Okay, what I was going to say, and I'll lower my hand too while I'm at it.
The host can take care of that. Don't worry about that.
I got it. But there's two ways you could do it. You can supplement for certain things depending on whether you're like a vegan or something like that. You could supplement the flour with something other than the flour.
Yes, if you, well, not necessarily if you're a vegan, because vegans can
Well, you
generally
know
have
what I mean.
flour. But if you have a gluten problem and can't have flour, then yes, you could use either ground oats, or you could use a gluten-free type of flour, or
Right.
yeah.
Right. That's what I was
Yes,
going
you're
to
right.
say. Is that's one way, you know, depending on what your how you
Dietary restrictions, yes.
Right. And And that's making me hungry.
Glad to hear it.
We don't have any more at this time.
Brad, did you get Clubhouse back? And do you have any hands over there?
No, I keep getting a message something about, is Clubhouse down? Question mark. So,
Okay.
I closed it and reopened it. Now I'm trying to find the room. Okay, let's see.
Open Clubhouse.
Or your fingers. You don't have to use a metal spatula to flatten it. You can just flatten it with your hand a little bit. Yeah. So much easier.
Oh, my parchment paper is flying. Okay, let's.
I don't even know if I'm going to want to bake in this mess, but I will give it a try.
What makes you think I do?
Because you mess is your middle name.
No. Okay. I'm actually trying to make things a little bit less messy. All right, so we're not going to use that parchment paper that fell on the floor. We're just going to take it out some
new parchment paper. Your words are kind of breaking off, Herbie. Or is everybody hearing what he's saying?
Yeah, actually, Chanel's right. From our point of view over here, we're hearing snippets of words.
Okay, I don't know if it's because we're all so unmuted.
Same way over here. It's like it's all garbled up or something.
Yeah, I thought for a minute somebody else was unmuted and we were hearing them.
There you go.
Well, we're now having real words, so yay. Oh, I see.
Muted or unmuted?
You can be unmuted so long as I'm not having to talk. So if you go to the left of the thing.
Basically, I think it'll be best if one of you mutes and the other one doesn't.
Yeah, okay. And what exactly am I supposed to do here?
Get little balls of dough and roll them in the sugar.
Okay. And I'm going to have to lock my phone so I can put it under my arm so I can.
Yeah, that's
talk.
fine.
All right. And so I'm going to be unmuted. All right. So what was that?
So
just small balls and then
small balls and then roll it in the sugar and then put it on the cookie sheet, press it down just a little so it flattens a bit, and then there you go.
Yeah, I don't know if this is too big. Okay. And where is the sugar? Oh, I'm not oh, I see it. I see it. Ooh, okay. It's in a tiny, no wonder it's making a mess. You've got it in the tiniest little bowl.
And that's kind of it should be fine. Should be fine.
Filled bowl, but
and make sure you space your cookies out a bit on the sheet so that when they expand slightly when they cook, they're not going to become a cookie sheet, literally.
Yeah, really. Okay. Unfortunately, we're dripping sugar onto the sheet as well, but I guess that doesn't matter.
Just if you smell something burning when your cookies have only just been in there for a minute or two, that will be what it is. And if it makes you feel any better, I did the same thing.
Herbie, you'll have to be the one to smell since I kind of have no sense of smell.
It was him I was telling.
Okay.
It was, cool. Yeah. So it's fine.
Yeah, I'm probably making these a bit bigger than walnut, but I don't know. They fit just in the palm of my hands. So
make them roughly evenly sized. That's the important thing.
This is where this is why I don't like to consider myself an expert baker because it is the precise measurements can be very tricky.
Except that one I forgot to put in the sugar. Okay, see, I'm taking forever doing this, and I always take forever, and so that way. But I do kind of have a joke about being home alone and cooking.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yesterday I was home alone and I didn't burn the house down baking cookies.
Yay.
So yay. Yeah, I made they were already the store-bought cookie dough, but I, did everything myself, including putting them in the oven. And not that I haven't put stuff in the oven, but it's just been a long time. So yeah, it was fun.
Cool. Awesome. And I'm glad you enjoyed doing it too.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm just trying to make these. I'm trying to put them on the sheets. I'm trying to use that 2-inch kind of technique, or where you put, stick like 3 fingers in between the cookies, or maybe it's only 2. Let me see. And then, if the fingers don't touch, or if you don't touch the cookies on either sides of your finger, then you know that they're spaced out enough. Or if it just barely touches your finger. So,
that's such a good method that even Tori's dogs are excited. So,
yeah,
they just want some of the cookies.
Yeah, so I actually have about 3 fingers here. So they're kind of like, it's hard to. One thing that really frustrates me is the paper never comes out even, and it never covers the entire edges of the sheet. And so I'm just trying to work around that. I tend to get a little bit anal, I know it is, but Herbie wants descriptions of everything. So, maybe that's not helpful, but
And if it makes you feel better about the timing thing, I started sorting mine when the call started so that I could make sure I was going to be done before my dad's there.
And I almost knocked the sugar off because there's not that much space here.
So I've only just finished doing mine. And I started it when the call started, so...
And yes, we do want the description. So I didn't really talk much about the cookie sheet, so I did a little bit, but I want to go back real quick, and then we will take some questions. So it actually says to spray the cookie sheets, but one thing I've learned from other cooking calls is that parchment paper works a lot better, and so I've started using that method. I should also look into the silicone mats that can just fit into the cookie sheets.
It'd be a lot easier.
I must admit I'm a little nervous about things that say they exactly fit because they don't have my actual cookie sheets. And
which are weird.
If it comes to it, if you make sure you've got a couple of them though, if it comes to it, you can overlap them if they're too small.
I would much rather deal with mats than parchment. I love parchment paper. I think it's the best invention since whatever. But because, yes, things don't stick to the sheet, and even if they stick to each other, it's easier to pull them apart on the parchment paper than it is on the sheet. So,
yeah,
and that's why even though it is annoying to deal with the parchment paper, I chose that over just greasing the cookie sheet like the recipe.
I know, but now that my hands are so powdery, it's hard to tell if I've got enough parchment paper on the edge, so I'm not actually sticking the cookies directly on the sheet. It'll be easier with the second row, but I'm just saying.
Yes. But these are frustrations that people are going to deal with, especially if you're not used to.
I know, but
we want to hear about them. It's fine.
I never like them. So even if I was to get used to them, I'd still find them frustrations. So.
Well, that's fine. I'm just saying that, what...
I think we all find them frustrating. You're fine.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we see if we have any questions?
Oops. Oh, no. The sugar. Everything's flying because I don't like working with things on edges.
I know. All right. But I did try to give you enough room that you might be able to push the cookie sheet back a little bit more. All right. Do we have any questions?
Yes, we have Abraham.
Go ahead, Abraham.
About how big is a walnut size bowl?
Do you know what do you know as regards bowl sizes? Like, do you know how big a baseball is?
Could you maybe compare it to a tablespoon?
I'd say it's more like a teaspoon, or not a teaspoon. Maybe like, maybe it is more. Like 2 teaspoons, or
actually, I think a tablespoon. If you were to put have a tablespoonful and roll it into a bowl. Maybe that or a tiny bit smaller, so somewhere between 2 and 3 teaspoons, kind of equivalent. So if you had a tablespoon would be close enough, I think.
Okay, thanks.
And I should get walnut, wrap cookie dough around it, and have a walnut cookie. But at least it'll be the size of a walnut, maybe a tiny bit bigger. But
well, the good thing is that they're just saying that for an approximate measurement. For you to make them kind of even size. So as long as you've got cookies that are around the same kind of size scale as each other, give or take, you're fine.
Now, one recommendation I do have, though, is that you do not make these in the form of the shape of a gingerbread man. I heard a story once about a gingerbread man that came out of the oven, and he's like, "You can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man," and he ran away just to get eaten by a fox when he decided it would be a good idea to take the fox's
and why do you want the
fox
to eat your cookies?
Yeah, you don't want the fox to eat your cookies.
Exactly. That's the moral of the story, is we don't want the fox to eat your cookies. Not that,
yeah, that's what we got from that.
That's what all right. Not that you don't want your cookies to run away. You don't feel bad for the fact that he got eaten by a fox, himself?
No.
No? Okay.
I feel bad because I didn't get to eat him.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, on that note...
the fox has to eat too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But
what does a fox actually eat aside from stealing
fox is supposed to be
hens?
eating. It's supposed to be eating meat. So I don't think the fox should have had the cookie because of the fact that the fox isn't supposed to have the cookie.
But the author neatly leaves out that part. What happened to the fox after it ate the gingerbread cookie? And I guess the only way to find out is to feed a fox one and see what happens to it afterwards.
Most of them just eat the cookie, say thank you very much, and run off. Actually,
they say thank you very much.
Well, yeah. They're doing children's stories.
Oh, okay.
But if you want to know about real foxes, they don't tend to say thank you very much. They just eat the cookie and walk off.
That's what I thought, but I mean, it's been a long time since I've been in England, but last time I was there, I don't remember encountering any talking foxes, so.
Well, you haven't been in Wales, though.
I have been in Wales. No, I've been in Wales.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I have.
Or you have?
I have.
Okay.
Been to Wales, actually do have family over there, so I've not been to Scotland, though.
And have you been in my part of Wales?
That is a very good question, and honestly, I was never good with the Welsh names, so that would be a mother question. And I don't know if she's on here or not.
Well, were you anywhere near Swansea?
I told you I was never good with the Welsh names. I know where Birmingham
that's one
is.
of the easiest ones.
I know.
That's one of the easiest ones, Herbie.
I know it was. That's why I probably was
I could have
not
given
here.
you the name of some of the villages around here. I'd like to hear you say some of those. That'll be funny.
All right. Do we have any questions?
We do. We got 3 more raised hands. And
All
the
right.
first one is Diane.
Probably for the best.
Probably. All right. Do you have any questions? And are they about cookies or fairy tales?
Mine's about something you said a couple minutes ago, Herbie.
I'm definitely worried now.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
You said something about wrapping cookie dough around a walnut.
Yeah, I hope he's not going to try that.
And I was going to suggest that I think when you're measuring your walnut size balls, that you would look at a walnut in the shell. And you know what I'm saying?
I forgot they had shells. Okay.
And
Sorry.
I guess that would be true if you get used to buying them already, halved or whatever. But yeah, if you buy fresh ones, then there is shells.
Yes, I actually was thinking about that, but that is a very good point. Yes.
That's why I'm saying a whole tablespoon for the equivalent of dough.
Yeah, you would
Then
not
maybe I'm making
want
it too
to,
small.
because walnut shells are bitter. So you would not want to have the walnut in the shell when you wrap it around the cookie dough, I don't think.
No, you would not.
No, you don't want to do that. And anyway, the walnut wouldn't be properly cooked.
And
right.
You're probably not making them too small, Chanel, because the cookies are going to expand once they go in the oven. And so
Okay, well, just saying, I've only got 2, 4,
and I'm the wrong person to
8,
ask. So
10.
I like cooking. I don't
You're
like
doing
baking.
great, Herbie. You're doing great, Chanel.
Yes. Anyway, and next week we're going to be talking about something a lot simpler, coffee and tea, and we're going to have a goddess with us. She's been on the show once before.
She's the coffee goddess.
Yes. Kaylala. So
And the crafty goddess, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
She's so special that she has 2 laws at the end of her name, and her last name just happens to be Allen, but she's not related, so...
Yeah. Does that also make her a 3-time goddess? Because, she shares our last name. No.
That would imply something. Okay, who have we got next for questions? Let's get to our list.
that we were related.
We got, like I said, we got 2 more, and we got less than a half hour. So first up is Derek.
Derek.
Yeah. Hi.
welcome.
Hi. How you guys doing? Thank you. Question. I tend to do a lot of cooking, and I'm a pretty decent cook, but I hardly ever bake. Just never really got to do baking. And so my question is, the way I cook is I throw a bit of this through using my instincts and my experience. I know just how much to throw in. Now, in baking, I know it's very much more precise. What happens if you were to, instead of using a level teaspoon, use, let's say, a heap teaspoon of something?
It depends what it is.
I guess it would also depend what it is.
Yeah. You see, with some things, it really doesn't matter. And you can just whatever. Like, for example, when we did the ginger, we were free to add extra if we wanted to. But then there's other stuff where you really have to, if you're going to add extra of one thing, then you need to add extra of something else to compensate.
Right. So pretty much as long as you're using a level spoon, you should be spot on according to whatever recipe you're using.
Yeah, so if you just make sure that you use the same kind of measurement for each one, like for example, if you need a teaspoon of this and a teaspoon of that, just make sure if you've got a heap teaspoon for one, then you've got the same for the other.
Got it, thank you. And then I have one more question on like letting the dough rest. Does it make any difference whether you let the dough rest overnight in the fridge in a brown paper bag or a plastic wrap?
Actually, you want to just leave it in the mixing bowl.
Okay, and then do you cover it or do you, because you don't...
I never do.
You don't?
Nope.
This one did not say to cover it. I think it matters, like if you're dealing with something with yeast, then you would want to probably cover the dough and let it rise that way, because the...
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily? Okay.
I was basically trying to work. I'm having a lot harder time keeping these balls in rows, like the kind of the 2 inches rule. Right. Oh, I did.
All right. So before we get, so does that answer your question there, Derek? All right. Tori, to answer your question on Wales now, I should have remembered this because we even climbed the base of the mountain. How far away is Swansea from Mount Snowdon?
You were further north than me.
All right, so there you go. So
I'm by the Brecon Beacons.
All right.
In fact, so much by that I'm in one of the valleys of the Brecon Beacons.
All right. So yeah, I definitely want to say we were further north, and at least how north we were, the foxes there that I don't know if we ever encountered or not. They did not talk, so
maybe you weren't listening.
Maybe I wasn't. I would, but at that age, I would have listened, and I would have noticed.
No, you're not very good at listening.
Wow. What was that? Just kidding. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that if your mom would like to come on here, she would be able to verify that you're not very good at listening. And that was probably
actually
the case.
His mom might be complimentary. His wife, on the other hand, no.
Well, at least one of them agreed with me.
All right. On that note, who have we got next?
We got Pat Hansen up next.
Pat.
Hello, Pat.
Hello. So what I was going to ask is, for those people who have allergic something, an allergy with like flour or something like that, is there a way to use a supplement for something like that, or you know what I mean?
It depends on the extent of your allergy. So you can do when you're making stuff like this, you can do one of two things. If you have to actually avoid the thing you're allergic to, you can use a substitute and use, like, for example, 9 out of 10, if I want to do a gluten-free option, I will use oats rather than flour, because it gives a similar kind of texture and taste, but without the gluten. But then if it's a mild enough issue that you can take something for allergy medication wise and then still be able to eat it, then take your medication and then enjoy your cookie with your gluten in it.
Okay. Another, what I was also going to say too is there's a way to actually get it to rise too. There's another way to get it to rise besides putting it in the fridge. You can put it in if you've got an oven, put it on low.
You can, yes, but that's for bread. And the reason for putting the cookie dough in the fridge is not to make it to rise. It's actually to chill it. To make it easier, it's to chill it to make it easier to work with when you're making it into the bowls.
That's true too.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a difference between there's a difference between letting stuff rise versus chilling stuff, and so it's always a good idea to really pay attention to the recipe as well and find out what it's actually telling you to do. Cookies. What?
One other.
Yep. Go ahead.
what when you're baking them, what do you usually put? How high a heat do you usually use?
So these call for 375.
Yeah, these call for 375, and that's generally about average for cookie baking.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome.
And yeah, Herbie, I think we are ready to put these messy things in the oven, and
I
it's
will
not
come deal with that.
My fingers are sticky. It's not so much fun. I mean, it's kind of fun, but I don't like working in the limited space. So yeah, this is interesting.
But you can say you helped.
Yes. The question is, am I going to help do the other sets? I don't know. And I'm going to have to go to the bathroom to wash my hands because the sink is way too full. So just all these little things that just kind of like, do I really want to be in the kitchen? No. Yeah. And it's not good in a crowded kitchen where you have everything everywhere. All right. And I was able to put 15 on this sheet because sheets are a little bit bigger.
You don't want to overcrowd the sheet, though. That's a good idea, right? While Chanel was doing that, I baked mine, and trust me, they expand a lot.
What time was it?
What about the sugar? Are you putting that in the fridge? Or are you going to just let that be dumped out? Okay. Because, yeah.
Oh, actually, you could actually just put that in the fridge too, and then you've got it for when you finish sorting your dough. Save wasting sugar.
Yeah, there is. So I was just, yeah.
Maybe they haven't seen them. Watching something else, I guess. No, we had to watch it on either on the TV or on VCR. I know, right? Had to rewind it when we were done and everything. And most of them are not. And it has audio description. So you can watch Home Alone with audio description as part of your Disney package. And we are not being paid by Disney to advertise, by the way. We just happen to think it's a great service. Although if they'd like to pay us to advertise, then that would be awesome. And crafting supplies. I mean, I might run out of yarn. We can't have that. No, of course not. Yeah. Just give us a percentage of what. If they just give us a percentage of what the people pay, then they get more money because we got people to pay on for the subscription. But then we also get money to get the stuff we want. Absolutely nothing, but there you go. Some low vision people. You want to add a couple of minutes to it. If you're doing it from a cold oven, then you want to bake these instead of for the 10 to 12, you want to do 12 to 15. I'm just going to mention something as well. I baked mine while Chanel was making her cookies, and I've just tasted one, and they're really good. Did we ever get Clubhouse back?
I don't know if Clubhouse is back. Actually, I checked Clubhouse and it's up. He may have lost it on Club Deck. I believe that's what he's working on. I'm not sure about that, but we do have some hand
I can't
raised.
get in it.
Okay.
It may be Club Deck that's bad.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
It could. No.
But we do have some hands raised. We have Abraham is up first.
Go ahead, Abraham.
I wanted to say for Pat, refrigerating cookie dough and working with cold cookie dough and putting that in the oven also helps it spread less. So especially if it's a butter-rich recipe like I think this one, it'll spread less. I wanted to ask is what kind of ginger is used in this recipe? Is it
just regular
powdered
ground
kind?
ginger?
Powdered
Yes,
kind of
powdered.
fresh.
Yeah, yes. But you can use fresh ginger and cut it out finely yourself if you want to. But it's a lot easier to just use ground ginger.
Okay, and
over there you can. if for people in the UK, you want to use Schwartz if you can get the ginger over here, because that's the best brand over here.
I just wanted to ask, when measuring out the molasses, do you grease your spoon with a little oil or something to make it easier?
Herbie didn't, but I actually did when I was doing with my golden syrup, but I didn't think to mention it to Herbie. I should have done so, but it was only when somebody mentioned it earlier that I actually thought about it. I just did it automatically. I do a lot more baking than Herbie, so.
Okay.
You want it very lightly greased because you don't want it making the stuff all oily, just enough so that the spoon is slippery. Yep. Oh no, he's just piggybacking ours. We've got lots of great stuff. Shall I tell them what we've got coming up?
Okay, well, Chanel has her hand raised, and just so you know, it's we got 10 more minutes. It's 20 past the hour.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say one thing I did yesterday. Two things. I did actually put the cookies I made in the oven without it being preheated, and so just added 5 minutes. Also, when I did take stuff out of the oven, I did stand to the side initially just to kind of get the initial heat, sort of expose myself to that. And then I moved to the front. I had 2 oven mitts on because I just felt more comfortable with that. And I moved to the front and got the sheet out that way. So that's what I did.
That's what I do, actually. Stand to the side while you open the door, let that blast of heat come out, and then move in front of it to line yourself up to take the cookie sheet out.
Yep.
Perfect. Yes, but you're weird.
Why? You want to? Okay. Well, never. But one thing I enjoyed yesterday was I had the kitchen to myself and it was relatively clean. After me and a messy kitchen just do not get along. So anyway, that was way more commentary that you wanted. But yeah.
Some people only do cooking from time to time when they feel like it, especially when they've got wonderful cooks to do it for them.
Exactly. Well,
and actually, speaking of people being motivated to cook after hearing the cooking calls, one of the things we have coming up is actually on that theme, because we have next week we're doing our tea and coffee thing, and then we've got a nice pumpkin pasty recipe for you. But the following week we have Colby Garrison coming to talk about how she, having not done any cooking herself really in the past, has been motivated to cook from hearing all these cooking calls on ACB, and made a beef stew for herself and her fiance. Mm-hmm. She hears people talking about it, though.
Yes, sir.
Do we have anyone else?
No, we don't. We're good right now.
Well, also in November, we have several other fun recipes, including Kayla returning to do a flan recipe, and Patty coming to talk to us more about online shopping options. And right before Thanksgiving, just in time for you to have it for your Thanksgiving dessert, we will be making pumpkin pie. will. Officially, we're supposed to be, so hopefully that will be going ahead, depending on circumstances. I told you so. I know, it's a. I mean, this is starting to become a habit, Herbie. Are you all right? You're fine.
Brilliant, Brad. Excuse me. Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Oh. Thank you there, Herbie.
And delightful for streaming. And delightful Deb for streaming.
Yeah, can't leave her out.
Huh? Oh, yeah. I want some cookies. I want some cookies.
I think you should send cookies. Would not want them by the time they got from my house.
No, I like anything with ginger and cinnamon, so I'm just really.
No, I was just thinking of the international posting time, which is like a week or more.
Oh yes, of course. then the dog likes them because they're nice and crispy.
Yeah. I'll save some. Okay.